with Peter Butler on 104.1 Territory FM.
All right, still keeping within the, well, sort of the theme of film, of cinema. We're now going to have a chat with Charles Darwin University's International Graduate Centre of Education researcher and lecturer, Dr. Brendon Hyndman. Brendon, good morning.
Good morning to you.
You must have a very big business card to put that title on, or do you have it like acronymized? I just made a word up.
Oh, I actually need to order some more business cards with conferences coming up, so I better get onto that.
Fair enough, mate. Hey, look, we've got you in here. We're going to chat about GoPros now. Most people know. I'll just, let people know if you don't know, they're those tiny little cameras that you strap to the front of your Land Rover when you drive through the bush, or you turn it around and you see yourself driving. Might seem pointless. Yeah, it is for a lot of people. But we're going to take a look at GoPro video recording devices that could be the key to simulating action-packed practical experiences for online students. And to talk more about that, instead of me just waffling on, Dr. Hyndman, good morning.
Yeah, so talking a little bit about this new innovation, I think being a school of education where we're looking at little strategies to really enhance the learning experience of our students. And at Charles Darwin Uni, we have a high externally enrolled proportion of students. And with health and phys ed, such a practical, action-packed subject, the GoPro has been quite beneficial in the early stages this semester in really engaging those online students, whether they're either remote or learning from another state like Victoria or South Australia. And, I think it's quite exciting.
So just take me through some, I guess, anecdotal experience you've had. How the students use these? Have they strapped them on and they put them on, what are those sticks called, mate? The selfie sticks? And do they do that? And do they plug it into their phone and send live streaming vision? Or how?
Well, there's two ways you can go about it. So you can either have a head strap, so it's just like a little bit of a headband, and it slots quite nicely there. And myself or a student will wear that depending on the activities to hear my instructions or see my instructions, or to create that sort of virtual simulated experience for the students. And the other way is a chest strap. So depending on you may not get all the sweatiness on your chest, like depending on what you're wearing, compared to your sweaty head. Yeah.
So the mankiini's probably not going to cut it, is it? Unless you've got a brace on, mate. So, and how are the students taking to it? I imagine with a lot of students now, especially the ones who are under 30 or whatever, would be right across how to use these sort of devices. Or has that been a whole new learning curve for them?
I think it's for all those learning externally, because at the moment, the theory classrooms, like when you're doing a lecture and stuff, there might be a camera at the back of the room, and that records all the interactions and that sort of thing. But with the GoPros, it takes these online students into the classroom. They get to learn a range of aspects. Like obviously, some of the big recommendations at the moment for teacher education are to improve classroom readiness of teachers, and to really engage students with technology and that sort of thing. So these students are learning. It could be being such a high managed class, physical education in schools, things like positioning, whistle use, could be transitioning between activities, safety aspects, which is a big one in phys ed, and all these really practical based considerations. It could be different types of activities for sports they're planning to do, and how activities can be grouped in ideas, because they're looking to create assignments around planning activities. So it takes that learning further into the classroom to simulate our experiences, which I think is quite exciting. And you've seen most of us have probably seen all the incredible footage of GoPros all across the news. Like I think that guy jumped out of space and he had a GoPro from the edge of space.
Yeah, that's right.
All the daredevil.
That wasn't the same guy that went to ring his wife to say hello but rang the wrong number. Was that the British bloke?
I wouldn't know that one.
That was sorry, mate. Now, look, is it too early to get any feedback on how this is going?
Oh well, it's part of a trial at the moment, and obviously there's a lot involved in sort of not only myself. It's been a highly powerful reflective tool for my teaching, because I see how I come across to the students and instruct and manage. But so at the moment it's quite a new concept, so that's going to be written up in terms of health and physical education, it's highly new. It has been trialled a little bit in the medical professions, a little bit in science, but this is quite new. So the aim is to really get the student thoughts about all the pros and cons, but early feedback, I guess informal feedback has been quite useful from the students and even staff members as well over the last week. Like, oh wow, you feel like you're there.
Yeah, okay. And you just briefly touched on something there, critiquing yourself.
Yeah.
Going forward, it's a good tool for that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the objectives as a teacher, I guess, is to reflect on how things are working, pros and cons, how you can improve, and that's something I've quite enjoyed myself. So I mean, there's all these benefits to within this particular unit it's being trialled. There's 200 external students to engage and simulate, but I keep talking to staff members how useful it is to if you've got a student positioned and listening to your instructions and how you're setting up and running activities, it's really useful to see sometimes how what's your posture and stance and voice use and how you're using the whistle and you can see how the students are engaged and I guess, but there's a lot of considerations with the GoPro. Obviously, we had to get consent.
I was going to say, there's another thing with that, and they can be intimidating, cameras for people who aren't used to them. How do you get students around that to say, hey, just, relax, forget the cameras there?
Yeah, there's a tiny bit of literature that said that by bringing a video into class, the students are aware and they're going to behave better and all that sort of thing. I've found.
Does it modify their behaviour in better ways?
Yeah, I think so. It was interesting when it was introduced week one. There's a comfort factor, and so there was lots of group activities. And the student that was wearing the GoPro, I think there's a tiny little bit of a wide berth initially, but the students have warmed up to it and realised it is a powerful learning tool and getting their consent to use it. And but it has been a trial. Like obviously with anything, there's trial and error. And week one, we had to we noticed a few aspects with the lighting and how close you have to be to obviously pick up the sound because I did trial it a little bit on my own, but actual class when you're actually providing instructions and that type of thing, it is a little bit different. So where do you need to be positioned, or the camera needs to be positioned to pick up your instruction throughout activities or encouragement or teaching and safety cues?
Oh, it sounds like it's going well. I've just touched with Tim Parrish before. The GoPros provide quite a wide perspective as well. So, yeah, if you put one in the back of a classroom, you're probably not going to see much if people are a few metres away. So, as you just said, you do need to know where to position the camera to make it effective, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it builds upon some other simulated strategies. Like there's lots of gaming being used in undergraduate courses these days. Like in physical education, there's EXA games where you're probably familiar with all the Wii type sports where there's motion sensors and that type of thing. But but this is really to create that virtual experience for the students, and not only for tertiary. I've heard teachers, since I've started trialling this, it could be quite useful in settings like the secondary school. So kids could actually analyse their movements. So it could be for homework. They could create a skills portfolio on a sport, recording different skills, and even to catch up on content, especially for the crucial years like year 11 and 12 where content really doesn't want to be missed at all. Yeah, no, absolutely. You've got a good record of it there. It's colour and movement. You can watch it back a bit later on. It sounds very interesting. So where to from here? As you said, it's in the trial stage, and it's already yielding some positive results. So where to from here for you guys? I'm really trying to open up the conversation in relation to online learning because previously it's been a subject that's hasn't really been talked about in the same space, the physical nature of health and phys ed classes and the practical classes with online delivery. And it has been quite easy to get lectures out there to students via YouTube and that type of thing, but to actually get them to feel like they're a part of these practical on-campus classes, I think that there's huge scope for other programs if they're looking to bridge that gap between what the on-campus students feel and experience and learn, really bridge that gap so that they can.
No, there are challenges with distance learning and delivery as well, and I think you guys are obviously making some good inroads to that. You did say before that the medicos have been doing it for a while and the science guys, but you're starting to see there's some very good practical outcomes from this.
I think the big thing is we have education students come into the degree and they're not specialising in such a practical subject like phys ed.
Yep.
And there's a lot of anxiety if you've got 200 students and they are learning externally online, and there's a practical nature they've got to prepare for. It can really be useful to reduce some of that anxiety about how they're going to undertake and deliver these subjects that they're not essentially specialising in, but they need to learn if they are to take physical education and sports out in those primary and secondary and early childhood settings.
All right, Brendon. It sounds interesting. Let's stay in touch, mate, because I love this way that we're embracing technology at CDU. 75% of our students are external, so I think this has merit in quite a lot of other faculties as well.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. Anything action-packed, field work. I think I've heard of geography classes a geography lecturer interested in field work out on excursion to capture those experiences. So I think there's huge potential there, and hopefully we can really kickstart with our trial and open that conversation for other online providers.
Excellent. Good luck, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thanks.
All righty. Dr. Brendon Hyndman there, CDU International Graduate Centre of Education researcher, talking about GoPro lessons and giving online students a new perspective and trying to get around some of those challenges with remote delivery of syllabus.